Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaymudirayet. Nashtaprayasho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya. Yakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale. Vimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, 325, 34. नैकात्मतां मे स्पृहयन्ति केचिन् मत्पादसेवाभिरता मदीहाः ईहा ईहा ईहाः मदीहाः येऽन्योन्यतो भागवताः प्रसज्य sabhajayante mama paurushani. A pure devotee who is attached to the activities of devotional service and who always engages in the service of my lotus feet, never desires to become one with me. Such a devotee who is unflinchingly engaged, always glorifies my pastimes and activities. It's a very nice verse. Pure devotee who is attached to the activities of devotional service and who always engages in the service. Attached to activities of devotional service and always engages in service. Never desires to become one with me. He is unflinchingly engaged. Unflinchingly means not moving here and there. Mm, and always glorifies my pastimes and activities. There are five kinds of liberation stated in the scriptures. One is to become one with the Supreme Lord, or to forsake one's individuality and merge into the Supreme Spirit. This is called Ekatmatam. A devotee never accepts this kind of liberation. The other four liberations are Salokya, to be promoted to the same planet, as, to associate personally with the Supreme Lord, to achieve the same opulence, Arsti, attain the same bodily features, Rupya, Samipya, personally Samipya. So Salokya, Samipya, Sarsti, and Sarupya. And this is Sayuja, Ekatmatam or Sayuja. A pure devotee, as will be explained by Kapila Muni, does not aspire for any of the five liberations. He especially despises as hellish the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Person of Godhead. The Prabodhananda Saraswati, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, said, Kaivalyam Narakayate. The happiness of becoming one with the Supreme Lord, which is aspired for by the Mayavadis, is considered hellish. That oneness is not for pure devotees. There are many so-called devotees who think that in the conditioned state we may worship the person of Godhead, but that ultimately there is no personality. They say that since the absolute truth is impersonal, one can imagine a personal form of the impersonal absolute truth for the time being. But as soon as one becomes liberated, the worship stops. That is a theory put forward by the Mayavada philosophy. Actually, the impersonalists do not merge into the existence Supreme Person, but into his bodily, personal bodily luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. Although that Brahmajyoti is not different from his personal body, that sort of oneness merging into the body luster of the personal Godhead is not accepted by a pure devotee because the devotees engage in greater pleasure than the so-called pleasure of merging into his existence. The greater pleasure is to serve the Lord. Devotees are always thinking about how to serve him. They're always designing ways and means to serve the Supreme Lord, even in the midst of the greatest obstacles of material existence. Hmm. Even in the midst of greatest obstacle, not when everything is going smooth. Serving the Lord is one, but serving the Lord even in the midst of greatest obstacles, yeah, is what pure devotees do. The Mayavadis accept the description of the pastimes of the Lord as stories, but actually they are not stories. They're historical facts. Pure devotees accept the narrations of the pastimes of the Lord not as stories but as absolute truth. The words Mama Paurushani are significant. Uh, Mama Paurushani, my adventures, or my Leela. Devotees are very much attached to glorifying the activities of the Lord, whereas the Mayavadis cannot even think of these activities. According to them, the absolute truth is impersonal. Without personal existence, how can there be activity? The impersonalists take the activities mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other Vedic literatures as fictitious stories, and therefore they interpret them most mischievously. They have no idea of the personality of Godhead. They unnecessarily poke their noses into the scripture and interpret it in a deceptive way in order to mislead the innocent public. Actually, in India, mostly, especially in South India, most of the people who speak about Krishna and who are public figures, very famous, etc., are Mayavadis, right? And but people can't understand because those Mayavadis won't tell like, oh, Krishna has no form. They will just say, ah, ultimately everything is Nirakar, and people will just think, oh, this is the truth, and they will speak so nicely. I mean, much yeah, better than even devotees in terms of describing the pastimes. But it's completely offensive, right? So it's very dangerous to the public. Now we see a lot of people, they go in like, hundreds and thousands, they go to hear from such people. That is our problem is because we are not organizing such big events and we are not famous for it. We have not been renowned for, we are not renowned for it. So people don't come to us as much as they do there. And there it is all completely, it's just offensive, blasphemous. Because while they're narrating all these pastimes, according to them, they're just stories. Krishna doesn't have any form. It's all Nirakar. Very unfortunate. So ISKCON, somehow we have to do that. We have to create big forums. Like the other day, His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj was come to the temple. So he was saying, we should have football stadiums for Gita classes. Not like Gita or Bhagavad classes, not like small places. Right? So we should take auditoriums and fill them with people. But we have to also, these people are so attached, stuck to these, Nirakar Swamis, so-called Swamis, that, they are attracted to going there and they think that if somebody wears a, saffron dress, then it attracts. Mm. So unfortunate. The activities of Mayavada philosophy are very dangerous to the public, and therefore Lord Chaitanya warned us never to hear from any Mayavadi about any scripture. They will spoil the entire process, and the person hearing them will never be able to come to the path of devotional service to attain the highest perfection. This we are seeing, especially in South India, especially in Karnataka. Lot more, either we have a lot of Shaiva Bhaktas or Mayavadis, right? Or demigod worshippers. No Krishna Vishnu worshippers are minimum. We have to search for them. At least, for example, in Andhra and all, because of Balaji, lot more people worship Vishnu. But in Karnataka, that's not the case. Even in Maharashtra, they worship Panduranga. A lot of people worship Panduranga. Even in Kerala, they worship. But in Karnataka, especially, of course, North, Krishna is there. In Karnataka, especially, mostly heavy Nirakarvada. It's clearly stated by Kapila Muni that bhakti activities or activities in devotional services are transcendental to mukti. It's called Panchama Purushartha. Generally, people engage in activities of dharma, artha, kama, and ultimately they work with an idea that they are going to become one moksha. This is mukti or moksha. But bhakti is transcendental to all these activities. Srimad Bhagavatam therefore begins by stating that all kinds of pretentious religiosity, dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vastam vedyam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वर सत्य रुद्य वरुद्यते कतिपि शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात् dharma prochita kaitava cheating religion. Whatever religion talks about dharma artha kama is cheating religion. Ritualistic activities, vidhis, this is what we are talking about. Puja, right? We do this puja, that puja, that is all for dharma artha kama. You see dharma artha kama moksha chaturvida phala purushartha siddhyartham, that's how they chant their mantras. So according to them, that dharma, artha, kama, moksha is this merging with Lord. and dharma, artha, kama. That is the focus. And Bhagavatam completely rejects. So how can a person who is reading Bhagavatam on one side engage some priest to do all these kind of pujas? Because it's cheating, cheating religion. What is the use in following cheating religion? Bhagavatam is rejecting it outright. And we are worried, we are saying, oh, no, no, to satisfy society, this, that, I'm going to be engaged in these things, but it's cheating religion. Hmm. Even after knowing that it's cheating us, why should we engage in such a religion? What is the use of that? That's why. So Prabhupada is saying, the Bhagavatam is especially meant for pure devotees. Pure devotees don't want this cheating religion. They want to always engage in Krishna consciousness, in activities of the Lord, and always glorify these transcendental activities. See, why should we glorify these activities? Actually, we should glorify these activities so that we will have some smaranam. If we are simply hearing, we might not be able to remember. When we speak, then we'll be able to remember. And ultimately, it is smaranam only which is important. Mm. So this smaranam cannot happen unless we are absorbed. Many times I try, sit and just, okay, let's see, for 10 minutes, can I just simply remember pastimes of the Lord? Not easy, right? So, which means that a lot more kirtanam has to happen. So much more kirtanam that it just becomes like just those thoughts are just going on in our head. And that's the reason actually Prabhupada gave Krishna book. Such a brilliant act of mercy. Brilliant because so many things. I keep thinking, okay, I have to learn shlokas, to learn Bhagavatam, then I have to do Chaitanya Charitamrita, then Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's also important. So many things we have to read. Then there are services, then there's chanting and this and what will I remember? Okay, one thing easy is to chant Hare Krishna, right? But the chanting of Hare Krishna ultimately also has to bring about remembrance of the Lord. Now, for which if I am reading so many things, what will I retain in my head? So, Prabhupada just gave that Krishna book, just in spite of whatever else you're doing, if you just read Krishna book, simply remember Krishna's pastimes, right? So, glorification is good. When we glorify, then we also try to remember. Pure devotees worship the transcendental activities of the Lord in Vrindavan, Dwarka, and Mathura as they are narrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Of course, we are actually, even amongst pure devotees, Gaudiyas, they are interested mostly in Vrindavan, right? Because Madhurya, Prema is not there elsewhere. Also, even Sakhya, Vatsalya, also everything is in Vrindavan. Dwarka and Mathura not is not really our where we are heading. Mm. Because it's also mixed with Aishwarya. So if somebody mm, wants to worship Krishna with Aishwarya, then they can go to Dwarka Mathur. But Madhurya, sweetness means Vrindavan. And that's what Gaudiya Vaishnavas mm, intend. So even in Vrindavan, Dwarka Mathura, it's Vrindavan. Even in Vrindavan, it's Madhurya Rasa. Anyway. The Mayavadi philosophers completely reject them as stories, but actually they're great in worshipable subject matters and thus are relishable only for devotees. That is the difference between a Mayavadi and a pure devotee. So this relishable is very, very important, right? So when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the 10th canto, or when we are reading proper Krishna book, right? So we should naturally, naturally, we should not try to do this, but naturally we will start relishing some. We discussed this before, but we keep forgetting, so I'm just like mm, re-emphasizing. We will normally some pastimes of Krishna appeal to us more than others naturally. Not with any bias or not thinking, oh, like some tattva behind it. No, just when we are hearing, of course, all of Krishna's pastimes are, like what Dikshit Maharaj says, that everything, whole of Bhagavatam is great, but Krishna's childhood pastimes are even great. Like that. So, each and every devotee have their own inclination. They get attached to certain pastimes, and it's important. But that we realize, we start identifying. Okay, I'm getting attracted more to this. But that's only after reading whole of Bhagavatam or whole of Krishna book. Read whole of Krishna book multiple times if we read, then we will start seeing that we are having some inclination towards certain pastimes more than the others. It's not about understanding. So, for example, if somebody is attracted to Madhurya, but we might not understand Madhurya, that's okay. We are not talking about understanding. We're just talking about what attracts me more. Mm. So, are we attracted when Radha and Krishna are there together? Are we attracted when Krishna is there as a small boy, small child? Or are we attracted when Krishna is there with his sakhas, friends? Are we attracted with the dealings of Mother Yashoda with Krishna? Or are we attracted with dealings of Radharani and gopis with Krishna? So, what attracts us? Naturally. Then Tattva will follow. Then we will go into the depth of understanding that rasa, etc., etc. And that's how we have to make progress. Actually, today, unfortunately, we are in a stage where we are just struggling with our daily sadhana, right? Which is bread and butter stuff like chanting, basic reading, at least, half an hour, 45 minutes, which if you only have half an hour, 45 minutes in a day, then we'll be struggling to finish Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That itself will take like lot of time. Right now, beyond that, we have to come to actually, certain of one rasa that we should get, we'll eventually get attracted to, which requires that we do repeated hearing of Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, and then then we have to go deep into it. Uh, so it's a lot of work. Mm. Without that, we are not going to get any rasa. We're not going to experience any bliss, right? Um, of course, if somebody is 24 hours engaged in bhakti, then Krishna dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna will direct the devotee what needs to be done, or he'll give mercy. But for others, slowly and steadily, we have to move towards this 24 hours business, right? And which is why I keep coming back. Whenever we talk about time, it comes to Varnashrama, right? Because Grihastha means no time, Vanaprastha means time, right? And that time has to be used to actually make progress. So we have to relish, right? We have to relish. That is the whole point here. We always glorify, so uh, we have to hear, we have to glorify, we have to relish, we have to remember. Hmm. What is that? Um, what is that verse? No, what is that? Namanya Dhanyam Swastyanam. There is one. Srinvanti Gayanti. Yeah, this one. Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abhaddapatyapi. Namani Anantasya Shonkitani Yat Srinvanti Gayanti Grananti Sadavaha. Srinvanti, they hear Gayanti, and Grananti. Grananti means remember or retain. Hmm. So that's what we need to do. Srinvanti Gayanti Grananti Sadavaha. Hmm. Very nice verse. Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo. यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अभवद्देव नामानि अनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि that namani anantasya nama of ananta meaning of the unlimited yashoankitani his glories those are heard, sung and remembered by the pure devotees. So this is what we have to practice. Very nice. These verses should motivate us to go in that direction. 35. पश्यन्ति ते मे रुचिराण्यम्बसन्त प्रसन्नवक्त्रारुणः लोचनानि Rupani divyani varapradani sakam vacham spraniyam vadanti. O my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me. Vadanti, speak, sprihaniyam, favorably, vacham. And they speak favorably with me. Prabhupada has not explained this, what this speak favorably means. With me, not about me. Speak favorably. Talk to me. Krishna is saying, they talk to me. Talk with me. Mayavadis and atheists accept the forms of the deities in the temple of the Lord as idols, but devotees do not worship idols. They directly worship the person of Godhead in his Archa incarnation. Archa refers to the form which we can worship in our present condition. Actually, in our present state, it is not possible to see God in a spiritual form because our material eyes and senses cannot conceive of a spiritual form. We cannot even see the spiritual form of the individual soul. When a man dies, we cannot see how the spiritual form leaves the body. That is the defect of our material senses. In order to be seen by our material senses, Supreme Person of Godhead accepts a favorable form which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha, sometimes called Archa incarnation, is not different from him. As the Supreme Person of Godhead accepts various incarnations, he takes on forms made out of matter, clay, wood, metal, and jewels. There are many Shastric injunctions which give instructions for carving forms of the Lord. These forms are not material. See, so whatever form the Lord, which is Prana Pratistapana, which is established, these are not material forms. Because this is as per Shastra. If God is all pervading, then He is also in the material elements. There's no doubt about it. But the atheists think otherwise. Although they preach that everything is God, when they go to the temple and see the form of the Lord, they deny that He is God. According to their own theory, everything is God. Then why is the deity not God? Actually, they have no conception of God. The devotee's vision, however, is different. Their vision is smeared with love of God. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. As soon as they see the Lord in his different forms, the devotees become saturated with love. For they do not find any difference between the Lord and his form in the temples as do the deities. This we all experience. Right? Many times we go in front of the Lord and then there are tears in our eyes. Because that is saturated with love. Right? The only difference is between a pure devotee is always crying. And we cry, we have some tears once in a while, sometime, once in a blue moon. And even that is good. If you have it once in a blue moon, once in a quarter or something, or once in a year when we go to the dham, something like that. Right? But we become saturated with love when we see the form of the Lord. This is experience. All of us experience this. The smiling face of the deity in the temple is beheld by the devotees as transcendental and spiritual. And the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. This all of us experience, right? And it is a duty of the spiritual master to teach how to decorate the deity in the temple. So we chant Guru Astoka, how to cleanse the temple and how to worship the deity. There are different procedures and rules and regulations which are followed in temples of Vishnu. And devotees go there and see the deity, the Vigraha, and spiritually enjoy the form because of all the deities are benevolent. Because all of the deities are benevolent. And this is a reflection of the bhakti, of amount of bhakti in a temple. Hmm. We see that, when devotees come to our temple, uh, Seshadripuram, I actually, many devotees express a lot of happiness when they see the deities because deities are so nicely dressed. Deities are happy. So when others come and see, actually, they also experience happiness. Mm. So spiritually enjoy the form because deities are benevolent and they feel happy. They feel like coming back again. And that is because the devotees who are engaged in service have that love for the Lord. So they're engaged in service in that way, and that manifests, reflects. Devotees express their minds before the deity. So this is the talking. This I not observed. The devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances, the deity also gives answers. But one must be a very elevated devotee in order to be able to speak with the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotee through dreams. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotees through other devotees. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotees through non-devotees. These exchanges of feelings between the deity and the devotee are not understandable by atheists, but actually the devotee enjoys them. Kapil Muni is explaining how the devotees see the decorated body and face of the deity and how they speak with him in devotional service. So actually speaking, yeah, but we should understand that it is for very elevated devotees. Hmm. We will also speak, but our speech is one way, one, one single directional, meaning we are saying something, whatever we want, we are telling the Lord. But the Lord is not necessarily telling us. But for elevated devotee, he will speak something and the Lord will also speak back or communicate back. So these things, when we hear these things, we should start thinking, when will I reach this stage? At least some of this we are able to experience, at least to some extent. When we see the smiling face of Krishna, we feel happy. His beautiful lotus petal like eyes, Arvindaksha. Yes, we like to see many forms. We like to go on yatras. So all these are actually, and we should encourage ourselves to do this, right? Many devotees, they can't find time to go on yatra. At least we should do one in a year, if not two. Now, if you can do more, then you're very fortunate. But at least one, if not two. Two is good, but at least one. Not doing a yatra in a year with the devotees, and yatra means with devotees. Yatra means Shravanam, not just going and seeing some places and coming, right? Then we can't grow our bhakti, because see, actually when we go to these dhams, the power of the dham, right, and the power of devotional service in the dham, actually it will push us to the next level. It will push our bhakti to the next level. And we should do with that absorption. That means there should be very nice shravanam. When we do yatra with nice shravanam, then our bhakti gets elevated. And when bhakti gets elevated, automatically we come back and we see that we have now, moved up. We made some progress. Very important to actually engage in all these activities. So we should uh, feel happiness when we are seeing the Lord. And we should also feel happiness by decorating the Lord in such a way that, he looks beautiful, more beautiful. He's already beautiful, but he loves flowers. So we can do very nice uh, alankara of the Lord with flowers, with very, very nice flowers. So this is bhakti. Very simple, right? And but alongside we have to engage in Shravanam. This is very important, and so that we understand the Lord right way, right? Not we don't speculate. Like for example, see, many devotees might be saying, "I talk to the Lord," but Prabhupada is very clearly saying it's for a very elevated devotee. So if somebody is talking to the Lord at the same time, attached materially, then he's not a very elevated devotee. Then he's talking to the Lord is just bogus, right? So we should hear. That's why Shavanam is very important, so that we have Bhakti Bhava. It's not that we don't have, but it should not become Sahajiya. It should not become non-standard. It should not become unauthorized, right? Something we do, something of whatever we like. We should not do that. So Shavanam is important. And then that Bhakti Bhava will get directed in the right direction. It will get uh, guided in the right direction. Then it becomes authorized, and then we can make much more progress. Mm. Okay. Any comments? Any questions, comments?
Pranam, Prabhuji.
Pranam Mataji.
Can you hear me? Uh, I
Mataji
just
can't hear you. Can you speak up,
share
please?
something about Mayavad. Like
Yeah.
few years back, I met a person, like he's a known person.
Mm.
So he's very knowledgeable, like he knows much about the Vrindavan temples and he has a great knowledge about the deities and he's a regular visitor of Vrindavan. So I
Mm-hmm.
just spoke to him and we were talking and then all of a sudden he said, Yeah, above that Radha Krishna is the Nirakar Jyoti robe. And I was taken aback. Like,
Yes.
I was thinking he's a good devotee. He has so much knowledge of the temples and he's regularly going there
Hmm.
worshipping. So I was really shocked. And
Yeah.
this, mm, yes.
Hmm.
And there is no, like, I just spoke to him and then I realized it is not like good to waste my time with him. Like, he was so, like,
Oh, it's the other
deeply.
way around actually. It's bad to spend time with him, not good to waste time. It's bad to talk to them.
Yes, yes. So I just gave up.
ಮಾಯವಾದಿ ಭಾಷೆ ಶುನಿಲೆ ಹೊಯ್ಲು ಸರ್ವನಾಶ್.
Right, right.
Our
I was
bhakti will be
trying to
destroyed.
convince him, but I thought I found there is no way out. I'm not
No,
so.
no, no. We should
Well,
not.
hmm,
This is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advice. Don't talk to Mayavadis. As soon as you
right,
find out they are Mayavadis, Nirakaravadis are still okay. But
hmm,
Mayavadis say when if somebody says that Krishna's form, Krishna has no form, they can say that. Sorry, they can say that okay. Ultimately, it's all Brahman. Okay, that is okay. But then we should ask, what about Krishna's form? If they say Krishna's form is material, then they are Mayavad. Then we should just run away from there. If they say no, no, Krishna's form is there, but it is he comes and goes or something, but ultimate is Brahman. It's okay. Then they are Nirakaravadis. They are not very harmful. They just don't understand the philosophy properly, and we can try to give them better understanding if they're in a state to hear. But if they're Mayavadis, if they say Krishna's form is material, then run away from there.
right. Mhm. And Prabhuji, one thing I wanted to know, like some yatra is going from your temple na, in April, Shraddha
Yeah, yeah.
Mother.
April 20th to 29th, we are going to Mayapur
Okay,
and Puri.
okay, okay. Could you please share the details if you have some?
Yeah, yeah, I'll share.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mother.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay. Anything else?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी का मतलब
Hare Krishna Mataji,
धन्यवाद
Dandat Pranam. Okay. Mataji, you have to say anything? You were saying something? Oh, she got disconnected. Okay. If there's nothing else, then we can conclude. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। कोटि वैष्णव की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण